Hey everybody, welcome back to FeedbackLoop. I'm Jeremy,
And I'm Joey.
and this fortnight, this episode, we're picking a winner. We're crowning a king, as we do here now for the
A,
past
a stomp pop king.
a stomp pop king, as it were. I have a controversial decision. I listened to
Oh
both
my.
these albums today in full. I love them both so much. They're both just really good albums. I really like both of them. I think this is my opinion, and you can feel free to fight for whichever one you think. I think we both win
You
because
think
they're
we
just
both
both
win?
they're both very different, which I guess you wouldn't expect for a genre metal, right? You'd expect something kind of in the same wheelhouse, but Stomp Pop again is kind of a little vague, and the guidelines are kind of blurred. I really like you brought to the table Pyramid's Brightest Darkest Day, and it's got these really nice like dark sad boy kind of like almost a gothic like electro rock vibe that really suits the cold winter vibes, and it kind of gives me like some like Hole and like Mars Argo kind of vibes there, and I really enjoy that album a lot. And then the EP that I put forth, Bear Cavalry's Puris, still can't say it, as foretold in the last episode. I think I said that I would not learn how to pronounce it. I did not, but it captures it. It still feels like stomp pop, but it's from a different angle, and it's more bright and more like proggy. So
Yeah.
I feel like they both win for different reasons, and if you have a good reason to lean one way or the other, I'm fine with that. But I think they're both very enjoyable albums, and I just win this week because I got two cool new albums.
Well, I like your outlook on this, Jeremy. I was having a hard time this week because not only did you gave me not just one pick, but you gave me two picks because
That's
you gave me
true.
you gave me a Joey pick as well, that
I
Aqueduct
did.
album, which I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out here. I thought I had heard Aqueduct before, and I
Mhm.
probably have, but I had never heard the album. That it was I Sold Gold, right? That album.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't listening to the wrong album this whole time. But I think I liked that more than I liked the Bear Cavalry album.
Interesting.
But when it comes to the competition that we have going on,
Right.
I was at I was at crossroads because the Pyramids album, the Brightest Darkest Days, um, I feel like I liked it a lot, but
Hmm.
I feel like I liked it for reasons that I couldn't put into the category of stomp pop. And then Puris, that album. The first time I listened to it, the first two songs didn't immediately hit me in a
Yeah.
way, but the third and fourth songs on it, what was it called? Expensive Bracelet. That's the third song on the album.
Yeah.
Um, by that time I was vibing with the album. And then whenever Trail Dust and Good Water came in, it had
And
like
the
these sweet
trumpets.
horns on it.
Yeah.
Like it was I feel like your album, as much as I like my album, fits Stomp Pop more. So
I
if
don't
I
know.
was
It feels to me my pick felt more akin to like prog rock, like modern, not like hardcore prog or anything, not like anything grandiose, like a lot of prog rock. But there's a lot of kind of like math rock, kind of like fast technical chops on
yeah,
the guitar stuff that felt maybe it might be pushing out of the pop zone, I suppose, because pop is usually very like simple, I guess, as a rule, in my
yeah,
mind at least. Whereas the Pyramids album kind of like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like an electro, it's kind of like a rock dealio, but the kind of just pop is so amorphous,
yeah.
right? Pop rock in general is just like it can be anything
Even a
as
candy.
long as it's catchy, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like your album might be catchier than the Bear Cavalry EP. But I just love them both so much. I even listened to the bonus track Mozart Hurricane on the Bear Cavalry EP, and it's just like it's good. I just really enjoy that EP.
What the fuck bonus track? That wasn't on Spotify.
Yeah, I
Spotify.
told you this last week.
You did tell me.
It was or last episode. It was a 4-episode or a 4-track EP that we
But
discovered there was a 5th track that I hadn't heard. But so maybe that changes the game a little. But
that's what I get for not listening to it that night, because the next day I had forgotten that you said that, and I just listened to the 4 tracks. But for the sake of the fact that I also want to have that sweet, sweet Discord title, I'm going to go with We Both Win.
Okay, we both win. We are both luxurious kings this episode, this fortnight. And for the next 2 weeks, we have an exclusive trophy that only Joey and I will see.
Hell yeah.
And I guess
like
other people in the Discord. But chances are, those people aren't listening to this episode.
No.
So it's basically just us two. We're the only ones that are going to know. So with that out of the way, I guess we're going to get into our normal shit. What else have you been listening to?
Okay. Right off the bat, something that took me by surprise. Gold Panda has a new album called The Work. And I've been vibing to it. It's been really nice. I've been playing a lot of Risk of Rain lately. And it's been a really nice album to just like put on in the background while I'm playing and just get lost to. His last album, I think it was called like Reflections or On Reflections.
On Reflection.
Something like that. He did it with 2 other artists, which like it was a good album, but it didn't hit the same Gold Panda spot that I'm used to whenever I listen to Gold Panda. This album, The Work is what it's called. I think I like it more than Good Luck and Do Your Best, which was the album that we did an episode on.
Right.
My personal favorite Gold Panda albums are Lucky Shiner and Companion, and I would put this one, if not on the same level, almost there as Lucky Shiner and Companion. So
that's exciting.
It's been nice. It's been real nice.
It's real fun to get a really strong new album from a band that you love that hasn't put out like highest quality work in a while. Like Chevelle is an example of that for me. And I actually had that on my list of things to ramble about this week. And I've been a fan of Chevelle for a long time, but after like Sci-Fi Crimes and like Hats Off to the Bull, they kind of had a lull in the albums that wasn't great. And then 2020 they dropped was it 20 or was it last year? I don't know. Horatius dropped, and I think I talked about it a little bit on the podcast. Came out shortly after we did the episode on Sci-Fi Crimes, but that album was one of those albums for me where it's just like, yes, this is the quality of Chevelle music that I wanted. So that's fun.
Hell yeah.
In another related note that you were talking about with having good video game music, I guess, for like kind of like an actiony thing. I went back to Mr. Bill's Phantasmagoria, which I plugged not too long ago, maybe an episode or 2 back. But I've been playing Battlefield 2042 with Adam, which is just chaos. I mean, it's a Battlefield game. It's a shooter, right? And so getting some like good electronic music to play while you're just kind of like in the zone, just shooting shit, is just like such a good pairing. And I think that Mr. Bill album really shined as like the perfect like video game background noise album. So I listened to that a whole bunch in the past fortnight, just like as background noise, and it really works for me.
Dude, I gotta say, like, hearing that and then like just having experienced that myself playing video games, like it makes me wonder if I guess the rise in like electronic music and synthwave and stuff has to do with more people playing video games and more people looking for music to play in the background while they play video games, or like a shift of music going from like an activity to like something to have on all the time. Because I wasn't alive in the 60s or the 70s, but like if you had like a vinyl or something, that you put that on and that's like a thing. Like
that's
it's
the
just
event.
Yeah, but like now you just have music on, which you had like the radio and stuff. I'm sure you had back, but that's like radio, pop, whatever. Like now there's just the ability to access music literally no matter what you're doing. And I wonder if that has an impact on music that's, I guess, more background focused, or at least more
Right.
atmospheric and more
I
geared
mean,
towards creating a vibe.
yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, like, there's a bigger discussion to be had there about like the convenience of music nowadays and how easy it is to access and how that affects, the value of it and like the landscape, I guess, as like you're suggesting that like yeah, I would love to have someone smarter than us do like an actual like a well-spoken, well-read kind of like research essay or paper or something about the influence of video games on consumer music because like
Yeah.
I mean video games already have soundtracks.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing, and Risk of Rain specifically, Chris Christodoulou has he puts together some really amazing work
Yeah.
for
10 out of
his
10.
video.
I feel
Yeah,
bad listening to other music while I'm
yeah,
playing Risk of Rain.
but we still do it,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing is that like it it helps set an atmosphere having a game soundtrack, but after a while, especially for shooters, I think, at least in my experience, shooters typically are the ones that it's just like, okay, like I get it. I've heard this music, and I'm
Yeah.
playing this game for the 200th hour that I've had this game. So like, let's spice it up. Let's listen to something because again, listening to music is just enjoyable by itself, and playing a game is just enjoyable by itself. So I'm kind of mixing those and finding albums and sounds and stuff that really pair well together, like the Risk of Rain and the Gold Panda album that you were talking about, like Battlefield and the Mr. Bill thing. Like it's a fun collaborative experience, and it's
Yeah.
somewhat like unique because there's not. I mean, not that I'm the only one who's ever listened to Mr. Bill while playing Battlefield, but like it's a personalized like combination of things, right? That not everyone's getting that experience. Everyone else that's playing Battlefield against me or with me isn't listening to the same album as me, and that's kind of fun in itself.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like, that's something I loved about like Tony Hawk's Underground, to bring up an example. Not
Yeah,
only did it have a banging soundtrack of songs that I would listen to,
licensed
like,
music.
yeah, like it's licensed music. It's songs that some of them I knew before Tony Hawk. Some of them are great songs by bands that I learned through the Tony Hawk series. I mean, I know
Sure.
people talk about Tony Hawk soundtrack because it introduced a lot of people to music that they wouldn't have heard otherwise.
Yeah.
But I liked specifically about like Tony Hawk Underground, and I think they did this in Pro Skater 4. You could go in and select different songs that you wanted played, or like you could kind of make your own playlist that you would then
Yeah.
play to. And that was always a cool thing. So like that customizability is definitely like, I feel like, part of it. It has to be. And
Yeah.
I feel
It
like,
adds a layer to the experience.
yeah,
And
it's
that's
super
that's
cool.
fucking fun. Video games are cool. Listening to music's cool. Doing them both at the same time is twice as cool.
Exactly.
It's just it cannot get worse than that. Have you been listening to anything else exciting over the past
Um,
fortnight?
I listened to a new album by a band. Well, it's not a new album. It's a new to me album that I've heard a couple of songs off of here and there, and I've tried to listen to it a few times, but never really like gave it a fair shot. It was always like I didn't have enough time to fully devote any time to paying attention to the album. But the album is called "The Things We Lost in the Fire," and the band is called Low, and it's an album from 2001, and it's like one of those slow core, slow rock, whatever, that type of, I guess you could call it like stoner rock, but it's not like the stoner metal rock that you would hear in like the later 2000s where it's really super chuggy and detuned.
Right.
But this one, it was really nice. It hits, um I guess, some of the same vibes that I really appreciate Pile for, mainly in the pacing of the music,
Yeah.
because something I really appreciate about Pile is that they're not afraid to just kind of like let the music land wherever it is, whether that be slow, whether that be fast, whether that be just like you're expecting one thing and you get another, or you feel like, oh, maybe this should have ended already, but it didn't because it fits the
Yeah.
music. I like just stuff like that, and I feel like this album came out in 2001, and I feel like it had elements of that I didn't really hear. And maybe I wasn't listening for it in other albums that I've heard from around that time, but I feel like it had a very unique quality to it in the sense that they really just let the music kind of do its own thing, and it worked out for them. I really liked it.
That sounds very appealing to me, and I'm pretty sure I've heard of the band
Yeah,
before, but I don't recognize any of the songs that I'm looking at here, or any of the albums. So I will definitely be checking that out in the near future. I feel like I haven't checked out any new music over the past couple weeks,
you better
except
get
for
on it.
there's one exception. I don't know. I've been like in this comfort zone kind of deal where I'm just
Yeah,
listening to things that I'm familiar with, and I think my excuse for this, which has not actually been present in my mind, but I'm going to say my excuse for this is that the year's coming to an end,
yeah,
and sooner or later, soon actually, we're going to be getting together our album of the year lists, our top five, our five albums of 2022, which I was going to talk about towards the end of this, but I think maybe that's subconsciously in my mind. That's what I'm
yeah.
gonna say. So I've just been listening to things that I've already enjoyed. Haven't done a whole lot of new things. There was one album recently. I think it was just last night that I actually checked it out. And this was Mac Miller's album,
Mm,
Circles. I think I asked you about your opinion on Mac Miller
yeah,
previously last week or something, or maybe it was just earlier this week. I don't know, but I'm still not into it. So
yeah.
Mac Miller, we Joey and I have a friend named Levi, and he's in the hip hop. That's his thing. That's his like home space for music. When Mac Miller died, Levi suggested that I check out one of his albums. It might have been Circles. Um,
Circles came out after he died, I'm pretty sure. Or no,
how
maybe it was like,
soon after though? Because I feel
well,
like it was around, or maybe it was Swimming. It was Swimming that I checked
swimming.
out.
Yeah, I was
Maybe
about
it
to
was
say he
Good
had
AM. I don't
swimming.
know. There's so many albums there. But anyways, Levi's like, hey, like Levi's also really into like posthumous content,
Like the
and
27 Club type stuff.
yeah, he's like
Yeah,
super into like the death of a musician or a celebrity bringing like life to their work or whatever. Which I mean, whatever. I'm not judging him for it. It
yeah,
is what it is. But he was super into Mac Miller at the time, and he's like, hey, like you need to check this out. I think you'll like it just like instrumentally, even just like from a production standpoint. And I remember I listened to it back then, and I couldn't get into it because he was so mumbly.
yeah,
It's very hard. He just has a very like quiet and like just it sounds like he has marbles in his mouth for a lot of it. And I don't know how he spoke. I don't know if that's just his how like physically his voice came out or whatever, but it just I don't, it drove me insane. So I asked Joey about it because I don't know why it popped back into my mind recently, but I asked Joey what he thought of it, and Joey, you recommended Circles. You're like, yeah, like, I into that album. So I put that in my library as a backlog as something to do if the mood struck me, and then the
yeah,
mood struck me last night because I was just like I was in a hip hop mood, and I was like, oh, well, this will be a good time to like check out Mac Miller. So I put on Circles. I did not finish the first track
oh my
because
god.
again, I can't do it. There's just something about it that like the mumbling really bothers me, and it I don't care how good the production is.
Yeah,
I'll never know because I'm just like focusing on like what is this guy saying? Is he saying anything? And like he has a reputation. Everyone loves Mac Miller. Everyone praises Mac Miller for his lyricism and for just like being real from what I've heard. But which sounds like it would appeal to me. But I just the fact that I can't hear what he's saying and I can't like
yeah.
it's not working for me.
I feel it. Like, there's definitely. I don't know if I would call it mumbly, but he definitely just does not enunciate, which I
Yeah.
guess is mumbling.
It's kind of like slurred and like it's
Yeah,
just kind of like I don't know, it's like just a loaf of language.
yeah. I listened to him a whole lot when I was in high school, of course, because
Sure.
I was fucking that guy. Like, I was out there listening to like You Can Wear My Hat and Blue Slide Park and all that, like the stuff. But then I kind of like just stopped listening to hip hop rap anything in general for outside of like Top Dog Entertainment type stuff, like
Yeah.
Absol and Kendrick and J Rock and Schoolboy Q. They were like the only rappers that I listened to for a while. But then, so I missed like the Feminine Divine, and I think I missed Swimming whenever that came out. I wasn't in it, but then after he died, I listened to Good News, and I just had like such a big reaction to it because I was just like, "Holy shit, is this where he's at now? Why was I not listening to this?" And then I listened to Circles, and I liked it, but
Maybe that's the key. Maybe I just need a good, strong single to tie it together for me, to pull me in, like a gateway kind of track. So maybe I'll check out Good News and
God, I
see how
hope it
that
was
does for
actually
me.
called Good News because
There,
I'll
there
feel
it
like
is second most listened to.
okay. I was supposed to say I'll
It's
feel like
on
an
YouTube.
absolute ass if I because and I like kind of knew the background and stuff of Mac Miller and like his troubles and everything.
Sure.
And Good News is like he wrote that like as he was dying or
Mm,
as he not that he was like dying of a disease or anything, but
right.
like he was not on a good path, and it was almost a matter of time before it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think the way that he talks in Good News, you can kind of hear that he knows that, and that
There's that
he's like,
clarity kind of coming
yeah,
through.
yeah,
That's
but
that's interesting. I love those kind of like really soulful kind of like revealing all of like who a person's soul is, right? And I like that kind of like deep connection to the music. And so like I feel like I should like Mac Miller. And maybe that's why, maybe it's just me hitting a wall that's just like you can't go into something knowing that you should like something
yeah,
because there's a little bit of rebellion, I think. It's like, fuck you, you don't know who I am, you don't know what I am, and I'm like,
fuck you,
but
I
I'm
won't
me,
do what
I
you
should
tell
know
me.
what I like. I should have this shit figured out. But yeah, so I don't know, I want to like Mac Miller. I want to get it. I want to understand what people like about his music. But it's not there for me yet. You know what else isn't here for me yet? The end of this year. Oh, I don't think there's any new albums coming out for me. My calendar's complete blank as far as new releases coming out for the rest of this year. But it is the time, as mentioned, to start getting our top 5 picks ready. And Joey and I discussed this. We are going to keep a regular schedule. There will be, I think, a 1 week delay. We're going to be taking off at the end of the year just simply because I'm going to be in Indiana. I'm going back home for a couple of weeks, so I won't be able to record an episode. So the regular schedule is going to skip an episode, but there's going to be a bonus episode with our top fives. The first week of January, I believe, is when we're hoping to release that. So look forward to that stuff coming up. Get yours ready as well, you in the audience, and as well as you, Joey, the person I'm talking to.
Me,
But yeah, just get your top fives ready and let us know what albums hit you good this year. And,
yeah,
just good shit.
I feel like this year has been very hit or miss for me. But I feel like half of the stuff I've discovered this year wasn't from this year. So maybe I'm
Yeah,
throwing a bit of that bias into it. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I definitely feel that. I think there were a lot of good albums that came out this year, and a lot of good albums that don't feel like they fit the high esteem of being in Germany's top 5 list. You know, so I feel like there are definitely some albums that are already guaranteed to be in my top 5. I think, but I think filling out the last couple on my on list is going to be a bit of a struggle because there's just a lot of like good albums that I just
Yeah.
really enjoy and listen to this year that don't stand out as being supreme, I suppose, for better or worse. There's also going to be a new genre battle.
Hell yeah, there is. And I'm excited about it. I'm super excited
Yeah, we've
because
crowned the kings of dark pop, or not dark pop. What a
Stomp
stomp
Pop?
pop.
Dude, I wish we were
Lame.
doing Dark Pop.
I'm just in podcast mode, and I just love dark pop again. But
Uh,
yeah, so we picked a new genre for
yeah,
the
and
next.
it's actually a pretty clear genre this time, unlike our murky waters of Cornwall indie and stomp pop.
Yeah,
This next coming fortnights, 2 fortnights, I guess, is New York death metal, and
easy.
yeah, like it does not get more defined than that. So and I mean, death metal. That's my
Yeah, it's
old
kind of our
stomping
comfort zone.
grounds.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm okay with death metal.
We both have that kind of metal background, so this should be easy. Maybe the difficulty will come in finding something truly new as like a
Yeah,
discovery for us. So maybe that's the hinge there on this episode. We can't just present something that we know is top notch New York death metal. We got to discover something.
yeah, it's got to be
That's what we're
new,
here
new.
for.
Yeah, I
It doesn't have
like
to be
the
new as in time, but new as in new to us.
yeah stuff I haven't heard before. Like the thing, there was like 3 bands that popped up, and one of them was Baphomet, and I was like, I used to listen to that band. Like
Yeah,
that was a band that I actually just like decided to listen to.
right.
Also, there's
So
Deteriorate. Oh, I love these death metal band. Artificial Brain, Mortal Decay.
we're gonna have some interesting words to throw at you all next
Oh God.
episode when we unleash our New York death metal picks. I
Yeah.
am a little concerned that there's going to be overlap, that we're going to pick the same or similar artists, but we will do our due diligence not to do that. I
Yeah.
think we both kind of generally have a vibe check of what the other person might bring to the table, and also we generally go about discovering things a little differently, so maybe it's not
Yeah.
really an issue, but it could happen,
It
and
could. It
then we'd have to call it a draw, and neither of us would be king. Unlike this week, where both of us are king.
well, maybe it evens out that way. We're both kings this week, so we can't be next time.
Yeah, maybe,
So
maybe. Who knows? Not me, not you. People, leave comments. Please talk to me. I'm so lonely. Send me messages. Send us some recommendations for music. You can tell us what you're listening to. Get your 2022 album picks ready. Fuck if I know. Stay on our feedback.
bye.